Are you ready to enter the dark and dangerous world of gangs? Hold on tight as we introduce you to the most brutal gang in the world, the 18th Street Gang. This notorious gang originated in Los Angeles, California in the 1960s and has since spread its influence throughout the United States, Central America, and even parts of Europe. With a reputation for extreme violence and ruthless tactics, the 18th Street Gang has earned its place as one of the most feared and powerful criminal organizations in the world, composed primarily of Hispanic members. This gang has been involved in drug trafficking, murder, extortion, and other illegal activities. Their fierce loyalty to their gang and disregard for law and order has made them a force to be reckoned with. Read on to learn more about the history, structure, and brutal acts of the 18th Street Gang. But be warned, this is not for the faint of heart. The story of the 18th Street Gang begins in the bustling streets of Los Angeles, California during the 1960s. Imagine a time when neighborhoods were divided by invisible lines, marking territories controlled by different gangs. It was during this period that the 18th Street Gang emerged, initially formed by Mexican immigrants who banded together for protection against other gangs. This wasn't just a group of friends sticking up for each other. It was the start of something much bigger and more dangerous. They quickly grew in numbers, attracting members from various backgrounds, but mostly consisting of Hispanic youths. What started as a means of survival in a tough neighborhood evolved into a criminal empire. The gang's activities weren't limited to just defending their territory. They ventured into illegal activities, such as drug trafficking, setting up a network that would become a significant part of their operations. This expansion wasn't just about making money, it was about power. The 18th Street Gang's rise to power wasn't by chance. It was a calculated move, taking advantage of the chaotic environment of Los Angeles during that time. This was the birth of a criminal empire that would later spread its influence far beyond the streets of Los Angeles. When it comes to the 18th Street Gang, their name is almost synonymous with violence. This gang's brutal reputation is not just a rumor. It's a well-documented reality. From the late 20th century to the present day, they have been involved in some of the most violent crimes known to law enforcement agencies. One aspect that stands out is their involvement in brutal street fights, often leading to fatalities. These aren't your typical scuffles, but are instead meticulously planned attacks against rivals or those they perceive as threats. Another layer of their violent acts includes targeted assassinations, often carried out in broad daylight. These killings serve a dual purpose: eliminating enemies and instilling fear in the community. Moreover, the 18th Street Gang has been linked to numerous instances of extortion, where violence or the threat of violence is used to control businesses and individuals, forcing them to pay for protection. Their use of violence is strategic, designed to cement their power and control territories. This approach has made them one of the most feared gangs globally, with a reputation that precedes them wherever they go. Before we continue with our adventure, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell not to miss future videos. Let's get back to the video. Diving into the world of the 18th Street Gang reveals a complex hierarchy that resembles a well-oiled machine. At the top of this structure sits the leaders, often referred to as shot callers. These individuals hold the ultimate power, making key decisions on the gang's operations, from strategic moves in their territories to sanctioning acts of violence. Directly below them are the lieutenants, who act as the leader's right hands, ensuring that orders are carried out efficiently across different areas. Then, we have the soldiers, the backbone of the gang, responsible for carrying out the groundwork, be it drug trafficking, engaging in battles with rival gangs, or enforcing the gang's rule in their territories. This hierarchy isn't just for show. It's a strategic setup allowing the gang to operate smoothly and maintain control over its vast operations. Even though the gang's structure might seem straightforward, it's this organized approach to crime that has enabled the 18th Street Gang to grow in power and influence, not just in Los Angeles where it all began, but across the globe. The 18th Street Gang didn't just make a name for themselves in Los Angeles, they went global. Imagine a gang starting in a local neighborhood and then spreading like wildfire across countries. By the 1990s and early 2000s, this gang had made its way into Central America, Mexico, and even reached as far as Canada and parts of Europe. How did they do it? Members deported from the US took their gang culture with them, planting the seeds of the 18th Street Gang in new territories. This wasn't just a few people moving around. It was a significant migration of hardened gang members, spreading their influence and criminal activities internationally. They adapted to local conditions, sometimes even merging with or overpowering local gangs, establishing a network that trafficked drugs and committed crimes across borders. This expansion wasn't by accident. It was a strategic move to tap into new markets and extend their criminal empire, showing how a gang from a small neighborhood in Los Angeles could become a powerful and feared organization on a global scale. The 18th Street Gang's grip reaches far beyond the streets of Los Angeles, leaving a profound impact on Central America. When members were deported from the United States, especially in the late 1990s and early 2000s, they didn't just go quietly. Instead, they brought with them a culture of violence and crime that took root in countries like El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. In these places, the gang found fertile ground to expand due to existing social and economic challenges. By the mid-2000s, the 18th Street Gang had established themselves as major players in Central American crime. They engaged in drug trafficking, extortion, and were notorious for their brutal methods of asserting control. Local communities, often already struggling, were hit hard. Businesses faced war taxes, and those who couldn't or wouldn't pay often faced violent repercussions. The gang's influence in these countries is not just about crime. It's about fear and control. They've become deeply embedded in the social fabric of some areas, with some communities finding it hard to imagine life without the gang's presence. This power has led to an ongoing battle with local law enforcement and rival gangs, further destabilizing the region. The migration of 18th Street Gang members to Central America illustrates a chilling example of how gang culture can spread internationally, bringing with it a cycle of violence and crime that affects entire communities. It's a stark reminder of the gang's reach and the global challenge of combating such organized crime networks. The fight against the 18th Street Gang has been a long and challenging journey for law enforcement agencies around the globe. From its roots in Los Angeles to its branches stretching across borders, tackling this criminal empire has required a multifaceted approach. Since the 1990s, when the gang's activities became a significant concern, police and federal agencies have ramped up their efforts to dismantle this network of crime. One key strategy has been the formation of specialized task forces. These teams, made up of experienced officers, focus solely on gang-related crimes, gathering intelligence and executing targeted operations against key members. For example, in Los Angeles, where the gang's presence is strong, the LAPD created a special unit dedicated to gang violence, which has conducted numerous raids and arrests aimed at weakening the gang's grip on the city. Another approach has been international cooperation. Given the gang's expansion into Central America and beyond, U.S. law enforcement agencies have worked closely with their counterparts in other countries. This collaboration has led to the extradition of high-ranking gang members back to the U.S. for trial, cutting off the head of the snake, so to speak. These efforts have not only helped in arresting individuals, but also in disrupting the gang's operations, such as drug trafficking routes and money laundering activities. Despite these efforts, the battle against the 18th Street Gang is far from over. The gang's ability to adapt and its deeply entrenched presence in certain communities make it a formidable opponent. However, through continued collaboration and persistent law enforcement efforts, significant strides have been made in curbing the gang's brutal impact on society. Imagine waking up every day knowing you belong to one of the most feared gangs in the world. That's the reality for members of the 18th Street Gang. Life inside this gang isn't like anything you've seen in movies. It's harsh, it's real, and for many, it's a way of life that was chosen for them rather than by them. From a young age, some members are brought into the gang, often looking for a sense of belonging or protection in tough neighborhoods. By the time they are teenagers, many are fully involved, carrying out orders that range from tagging walls with graffiti to engaging in violent acts. Joining the gang might seem like an escape or a way to gain respect, but it comes with a heavy price. Members are expected to show unwavering loyalty and often must prove themselves through dangerous tasks. It's a world where your worth is measured by your ability to follow orders, and where questioning decisions can lead to severe consequences. The camaraderie that comes with being part of a family is often overshadowed by the fear of what might happen if you step out of line. For those in the 18th Street Gang, life is a constant battle, not just with rival gangs or law enforcement, but within their ranks. Trust is a rare commodity, and the threat of betrayal looms large. Despite the dangers, the sense of identity and belonging that comes with being part of the gang keeps many from leaving. It's a life that, once entered, becomes difficult to leave behind. From the streets of Los Angeles to the far reaches of Central America, members carry the weight of the gang's reputation, living each day with the reality of the choices they've made or, in some cases, the choices that were made for them. The streets that once buzzed with the laughter of children playing now echo with the sound of silence, a testament to the fear that grips communities affected by gang violence. Imagine a neighborhood where walking to the store, going to school, or even just sitting on your front porch could put you in the path of a stray bullet. This is the reality for many living in areas controlled by gangs like the 18th Street Gang. The social impact of gang violence stretches far beyond the immediate danger. It tears at the fabric of communities, leaving deep scars that can last generations. Schools become fortresses, businesses shutter their windows, and families are often torn apart, not just by loss but by the choice some members make to join a gang, seeking protection or a sense of belonging in a world that seems to offer little else. In countries like El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, the arrival of gang members deported from the U.S. has fueled cycles of violence and poverty. Children grow up in an environment where gangs are a powerful force, sometimes seen as the only path to survival or success. The fear of violence keeps tourists away, hurting local economies, and the constant threat of extortion places an unbearable strain on small businesses struggling to survive. Yet, amidst this darkness, there are glimmers of hope. Communities are coming together, forming neighborhood watches, and working with law enforcement to reclaim their streets. Programs aimed at providing education and employment opportunities for at-risk youth are beginning to make a difference, offering an alternative to the gang lifestyle. Understanding the social impact of gang violence is crucial. It's not just about crime rates or headlines. It's about the lives of people caught in the crossfire and the future of communities around the world. And there you have it, folks. If you stayed until the end, make sure to comment on what you would like to see next on the channel. See y'all in the next video.